Hey, welcome to Daily Beard for June 26, 2019. And guess what day it is? It's back to Tozer. You knew that from the name of the video. It doesn't matter. So, Tozer. A.W. Tozer. Should have got chapter 7. Now, it's been over a month since I've done a Tozer video. Partly because I've been really busy. I have. And it's just every time I just didn't have time to sit down and go through the book properly and do what I need to do. And there was also some kind of mental block there because I mentioned I've started this book several times and I ended at chapter 6 and then started over again. So chapter 7, breaking new ground. All right, so here we go. Chapter 7, shoot of God, the gaze of the soul. And by gaze it refers to eyes, like looking at. So in the last chapter, Tozer referenced the fact that if a man who was honest and had never heard of anything to do with God or the Bible, but had honestly gave it a read and looked at it, he would come to some conclusions. And he's saying if this person had no notions about God or anything like that, so they're not against or for the concept and stuff. And so he references that in this one. He says, a man who has no reference point to God, he will learn key things by reading the Bible, which makes sense. So he's like, one of the main things he'll learn after he's read a bunch of the Bible is the doctrine of faith. So faith is all important in the life of the soul. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Faith will get me anything, take me anywhere in the kingdom of God. But without faith, there can be no approach to God, no forgiveness, no deliverance, no salvation, no communion, no spiritual life at all. So faith is one of the most important things in the Bible and the walk. So the question is, what is faith and do I have faith? That he asks. So he says faith is taking God at his word and believing that it's true. That's faith. And he mentions the fact that in the Bible itself, there's very little effort put into actually defining faith. He says, outside of Hebrews 11:1, which I'll read to you. Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And I've heard that before lots of times, but that's when talking about what faith is, the Bible doesn't talk a lot about what faith is. It talks about what faith produces and what faith looks like, but not what it is in and of itself. I'm sweating. It's hot and I'm in a black car. So it's defined much more functionally than it is philosophically, is what he's kind of saying. And it tells how faith operates, but not what it is in essence. So looking at faith practically, we're working in our lives. Tozer says, believing is done with our heart. Faith is the gaze of the soul upon the saving God. And then he says, there's a verse where it talks about running the race and how running the race, faith is not a one and done kind of thing. It's like running the race it's not one step. It's a race and it's a journey. And so he's talking about faith is not a one and done, but a continuous gaze at the heart of a triune God. So believing and having faith is directing the heart's attention to Jesus. And he mentions that this can be hard, especially at first it seems a little easy because when you're, it's like when anything's new, it's super cool and you're into it. But then life hits you and it becomes a struggle to do daily. The more we do it, the more natural it becomes. The more we focus on Jesus, the less we focus on ourselves and our sin. And because of that, we're not so much focusing on ourselves and what we feel about ourselves and concentrating on sin. The sin dies. And then he one of the main concepts he talks about is Jesus can be accessed anywhere, which is yes, there are priests and pastors and churches, and these are all good things. There's nothing wrong with any of these things. But you don't need any of these things to talk to Jesus. They're all things that work within the realm of Jesus, but you don't need them. You don't need to go to church to talk to Jesus. You can do it on the beach on a Friday afternoon. You can do it in traffic on a Wednesday morning. You can do it when you're in the dentist chair, which I've done many times because I hate the dentist and I have terrible teeth. So he says Jesus can be accessed anywhere, not requiring special clothes, buildings, or people. So now he goes into a lot more stuff. Again, if you've never read Tozer or if you've never heard of Tozer or anything, I'm doing him a very light version. I'm scratching the surface. There's some gold there, people. You got to read the chapters, but this is just hopefully to whet your appetite to go, oh, one day I'm going to read those. And then that bearded guy told me to. So that's basically the chapter. There's a bunch more in the chapter that he talks about, but I'm not going to go there. So, but that's the basic gist. Is that we need to stare on Jesus more, basically. So as always, it ends with a prayer, which the prayer is entitled The Vision of God. So I'm going to read that, and then we'll close off for the day. So, O Lord, I have heard a good word inviting me to look away to thee and be satisfied. My heart longs to respond, but sin has clouded my vision till I see thee but dimly. Be pleased to cleanse me in thine own precious blood, and make me inwardly pure, so that I may with unveiled eyes gaze upon thee all the days of my earthly pilgrimage. Then shall I be prepared to behold thee in full splendor in the day when thou shalt appear to be glorified in thy saints and admired in all of them that believe. Amen. I like the way he talks. Like it's that. Now I'll say most of the chapter is not that flowery. It's just the prayers at the end. He likes to do flowery. Tozer. Yeah. So that's chapter 7 down in the books. I finally got past chapter 6. I'm so happy. So I hope to do another chapter 8 next week. Fingers crossed. And thanks for watching. Read Tozer. It's called The Pursuit of God. And thanks for watching. God bless.